Let's talk about Gaza. Palestinians were supposed to enter the holy month of Ramadan as the second phase of the ceasefire came into effect. But that didn't happen. Suddenly the rules have been changed and we don't know what to make of the ceasefire anymore.
Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. Israel has decided to stop letting goods and supplies into Gaza.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
Let's get to the questions. Is this the end of the Gaza ceasefire? What's next for the starving Palestinians and dying hostages? And does this mean a deadlier war awaits the Middle East? I'm Ananya Dutta. Let's get some answers. Here's what was supposed to happen. Stage 1 took effect on the 19th of January. It was a 6-week phase that saw 5 things. First, 33 hostages were swapped with nearly 2,000 prisoners. Second, Israeli forces withdrew to buffer zones. Third, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians returned home. Fourth, 8 packages were allowed to enter Gaza every day. And fifth, the last one, Israeli troops left the Netzarim corridor, a military zone cutting off Gaza in 2 parts. Now, all of this was supposed to make way for the second phase. Early on Saturday, Hamas said it was ready to go ahead with the decided plan. The clock was ticking since the deadline of the ceasefire was Saturday midnight. As the world anxiously waited for the next step, the Israeli Prime Minister released this statement.
Israel has accepted President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff's plan to extend the temporary ceasefire by 50 days. During that time, we can discuss the conditions for a permanent ceasefire that will end the war in Gaza. In Witkoff's plan, half of the hostages would be released right away, and the remaining half would be released if we reach an agreement on a permanent ceasefire. Again, Israel has accepted this plan, I accepted this plan, but so far, Hamas has rejected it.
Netanyahu's government wants to renegotiate the terms. Israel wants Hamas to extend the first phase and release half of the remaining captives. Hamas has rejected this and has accused Israel of carrying out a coup against the existing deal. Netanyahu did not stop at that. He went a step further. Right after Netanyahu's statement, we started to receive live footage from Gaza's Rafah region. A road that is often used by aid delivery trucks remained empty. Israel halted supply of all goods into the blockaded strip. This includes humanitarian aid like food, tents, and medical supplies. The decision was hailed by far-right Israeli politician Itamar Ben-Gvir. In a statement, he said, and I'm quoting, "This policy should remain in place until the last hostage returns. Now is the time to open the gates of hell, cut electricity and water, and resume the war." Israel has categorically said that the halt will be in place until Hamas agrees to extend the first phase of the deal. The Palestinian group has denounced the move as a quote-unquote war crime against the Gazans. And it's not unfounded. Additional protocol to the Geneva Convention say that starvation of civilians as a method of warfare is prohibited. It will be seen as a war crime. This is how some of the rights groups are describing this move. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Society said Israel's blocking of aid puts the lives of Palestinians on a knife edge once again. Action for Humanity said Israel is now deliberately starving a population in an act of quote-unquote mass torture. The far-right leaders at home are happy, that's expected. But Netanyahu also has approval from his self-proclaimed greatest friend, Donald Trump. And it's not just an approval. It seems like the plan came directly from Washington. Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff came up with the plan. A statement has been released from the National Security Council spokesperson saying, and I'm quoting again, Israel has negotiated in good faith since the beginning of this administration to ensure the release of hostages held captive by Hamas terrorists. We will support their decision on next steps, given Hamas has indicated it's no longer interested in a negotiated ceasefire. Now the ceasefire is hanging by a thread. Netanyahu isn't just stalling, he's setting the stage for something bigger. He keeps bringing up Iran's terror axis, a clear signal that he wants to turn this into a wider conflict, and he's hoping Trump will play along.
I want to thank President Trump for his unwavering support for Israel. During my recent visit to Washington, I said that Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And President Trump shows that friendship each and every day. He has shown it through his visionary plan for Gaza. This is a plan which Israel fully supports. He's shown it by sending us all the munitions that were being held up. This way, he's giving Israel the tools we need to finish the job against Iran's terror axis.
But here's the catch. Trump isn't exactly eager for a new war. He keeps saying he wants to end all wars, that Ukraine and Gaza wouldn't have been in a state of war had he been the president. All of this sounds good when you're campaigning for the White House. But once you're in it, you have no one else to blame. Trump's decisions so far, and there have been many, have been difficult to predict. He has abandoned allies and struck deals with arch rivals. But experts say we cannot analyze his next move in the Middle East through what he did in Europe. Iran is no Russia. Trump has kept the door open for talks with Tehran, but his one foot is always at another door, one that allows the prospect of a war, another war in the Middle East. But an extended war needs consensus at home too. There was a meeting between the top security establishment and ministers in the Prime Minister's office. The discussion soon turned into an argument. Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar was removed by Netanyahu from the negotiating table, but he was part of this meeting. And he said this, and I'm quoting, "The public is being misled. I want to believe that this is just ignorance. It is impossible to demand that Trump commits to ending the war. It does not exist at all and will not happen." However, hope isn't dead. The Egyptian foreign minister says he's ready with a Gaza reconstruction plan. It will ensure that Palestinians remain in their land and the war still comes to an end. The plan will be presented at an emergency Arab summit in Cairo on Tuesday, that's tomorrow. Egypt is hoping to seek international backing and funding for the plan and says it needs Europe for it, a continent that's already dealing with its own messy war. So none of this is going to be easy. Regional partners are likely to struggle to negotiate with Israel that is backed by the Trump administration. Foreign policy coming out from Washington doesn't actually depend on who the US is friends with. It depends on who Trump is friends with. And the Middle East does not have time. Trump thinks fast and acts faster. The world needed a ceasefire yesterday. Today is already too late. And tomorrow, let's see what happens.